Maria drove 500 kilometers in 8 hours. Andrea flew a helicopter 1,500 kilometers and averaged a speed that was 4 times Maria's average driving speed. How long did Andrea's flight take? So speed is equal to distance over time. So for the first woman, it would be speed is equal to 500 over 8, which is 62.5 kilometers per hour. The second woman, she is, her distance is 1,500. Her speed is what we're trying to figure out. Or actually, maybe speed we know. Time is what we're trying to figure out. Yeah. So time is what we're trying to figure out. Speed is 4 times Maria. So if Maria was 62.5, it would be 4 times 62.5. So there we go. Shouldn't be that hard. So 1,500 divided by, what is that, 250? Yeah. So T is 6 hours, and therefore that would be D. How many positive integers less than 100 can be written as the sum of 3 consecutive positive integers? So 3 consecutive positive integers are x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. The sum would be 3x plus 3, which is the equivalent of 3 times x plus 1. So it's a multiple of 3. So basically what that means is that the only integers for which this is possible are integers that are a multiple of 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, all the way up till 99, because we're going integers less than 100. But be careful. This is, of course, a list of 33 integers. But you should not immediately leap to this guy because that answer is wrong. Why is it wrong? Because this is not possible. Because if x, the key is 3 consecutive positive integers. The only way that you can get 3 is if x is equal to 0. So 0, 1, and 2. But 0 is not allowed because you have to have 3 consecutive positive integers. So the smallest value of x that's allowed is 1. Therefore, that would be 1, 2, and 3, and that would give you 6. So this is where the list kind of begins. So that means instead of 33, it would actually be 32. And therefore, the correct answer is D. Points E and F are positioned on the sides of rectangle ABCD, so that BF, ED, and DC and AB are all equal to 8, and EF is 10. What is the area of that rectangle? Okay, so let's blow this up a little bit, not too much, and then let's draw this line that goes top to bottom from F, like that, and that should be sufficient. So here we go. So this is 8 from that point to A. What else can I draw? Well, this is 8, right? Because they're all equal. And then I guess this distance is what I have to figure out. That's not a problem. That distance we can get from Pythagoras because that triangle is 10. And EF they gave me, right? EF is 10, yeah. Oh, so sorry. I said this hypotenuse is 10. The top to bottom would be 8. I can't make that mistake. And then let's call that x. Well, some of you can do this in your head. This is a very standard Pythagorean triple. X is 6. So this distance is 6. So therefore, the dimensions of that rectangle are 8. And then the other dimension would be 8 plus 6, which is 22. So 22 times 8 is the area, and that would be 176. So 176 would be answer B. Ava painted 1 picture each day for 31 consecutive days and numbered the paintings consecutively from 1 to 31. 3 of the pictures that she painted on Sundays have even numbers. On what day did she paint the picture numbered 25? All right, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, correct? So, let's see here. So Sunday is an even number. Okay, let's just start with 2 and let's see what happens. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. Correct. Okay, now let's see if this works. 3 of the pictures she painted on Sundays have even numbers. So that's even, that's even, that's even. So that works. And then I was able to put in all the numbers until 31. Okay, so what are we being asked here? What did she paint number 25? Well, 25 was done on a Tuesday. So just have to kind of write out the calendar, and that should be sufficient. How many ordered pairs of positive integers have the property that x to 4 equals the ratio 9 to y? All right, so x over 4, they're saying, is equal to 9 over y. So if you cross multiply, we get 36 is equal to xy. Okay, so 2 numbers that multiply to give 36. Positive integers. All right, so that shouldn't be a problem. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6, 9 and 4, 12 and 3, 18 and 2. We're kind of just flipping these now, and 36 and 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of these guys. So that would be D. In the diagram, point P lies inside WXYZ square, so that triangle PXY is equilateral, the measure of angle WPZ. All right. So what do we know here? Equilateral, so that's equal. And it's a square, so that means this side is the same as this side, so that means that would also be equal. So therefore, now we can do what is known as angle chasing. So if it's equilateral, these are 60s, correct? If it's a square, this is 30, right? Because that whole thing has to be 90. And then since triangle WPX is isosceles, hope you can see that, then these two angles would be the same. So if those are, say, x and x, that means that x plus 30 is equal to 180. So that means that that would be x is 75. Correct? And what are they being asked? A measure of WPZ. WPZ. Okay, well, but by symmetry, this would also be 75. That's also 75. This x is 75. So WPZ plus the 275s plus the 60 would be the whole way around, would be 360. So let's see if this works out. So that means WPZ is 150. So 16 is A. Each of the 3 nets shown is folded to create a cube. The 3 cubes are then arranged so that the numbers on their top faces are 1, 2, and 3 in some order. The sum of the 3 numbers on the bottom faces is. All right, so we got to take these strips over here and make them into cubes. So let's see what I can do here. Hopefully I can get this right. Okay, so the first one, this guy right here. Oh boy. Trying to think, how do I even do this here? 2, 3, 6. Okay, so the front face is a 2, then the top is a 3, the back is a 6, and then the sides, the back is a 6, right? So the sides would be 4 and 5, and the only number remaining is the 3 would go on the bottom. Okay, I'm pretty sure that is the way for the first one. Okay, the next one here, this guy right here. Let's draw that cube. Okay, let's see what I can do here. So let's start with the 2 up the top. Hold on. 2 at the top, then 4 on the side, and then 2 at the top, 4 on the side, and then the 6 would be in the front, and then the 8 would be at the bottom, and then the 10 on the side, and the 12 on the back. Okay, and then finally this guy. Yeah, this guy. So we have 1 at the top, then 1 on the side, let's say, and then 3 on the bottom, and then the 2. Let's see here, 2 in the front, and then the 3 on the side, and then 2 on the back. Okay, I'm pretty sure. So we got a cube with the top faces 1, 2, and 3. So this is obviously a top face of 1, top face of 2, top face of 3. So the bottom numbers are 3, 8, and 3, and I think that's what they're wanting us to add up. So that would be 3 plus 8 plus 3 is 14. So 14 is the answer, and that would be D. Suppose that x and y are integers, satisfying that x is between -4 and 11 inclusive, and y is between 9 and 17 inclusive. Which of the following statements is correct for all values of x and y? Okay. Oh boy. All right, so the obvious way of doing it is wrong, I'm pretty sure, because that would be too easy for a number 18, which is just adding them. If you add them or subtract them, because all of these are x minus y, right? All of these are x minus y. So if you subtract them, you get minus 13 on this side, and then 11 minus 17, which is minus 6. And I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Because that is an answer choice, right? Yeah, it's C. But C's wrong. Because you got to look at extremes, and let me explain. Now, the x minus y, that part is, obvious, because all the answer choices have that. But it's the numbers that go here that we have to carefully figure out. We have to look at extremes. What is the lowest it could possibly be? Well, the lowest it could possibly be is if x is the lowest and smallest and y is the biggest. So that would be -4 minus 17. Did you see how I did that there? And same thing, what's the largest it could be is the largest value for x and the smallest value for y. So the largest value for x and the smallest value for y are 11 and 9. So that would give me -21 and 2 as my opposite ends. And that is the correct answer, which is listed as E. There are 28 balls in a bag. Each ball is colored, 1 of 7 colors, and has 1 of 4 patterns. No 2 balls have the same color and pattern combination. Exactly 3 balls are removed from the bag, 1 at a time without replacement. What is the probability that one of the last 2 balls removed matches the color of the first ball, and the other matches the pattern of the first ball? Okay. All right, so let's say the colors are listed like A, B, C, 7, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So these are representing the 7 colors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there's 4, each ball is colored 1 of 7 colors. So 28 divided by 7 is 4. So that's why I put 4 for each. And you guys get the point. Okay, and then the patterns, there's only 4 patterns, so we'll call them P1, P2, P3, and P4, and they would be 7 balls with the same pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now let's go to figure out the question. So let's just use an example. Let's say I wanted I chose A1. Right, this guy right here, the first one. So this is, they want, what is it? Is it a probability question? No, okay, probability. So that means it's going to be a fraction. So let's do the bottom first. That's usually the easiest. The total possibilities is for the first, how many choosing? 3 balls. Exactly 3 balls are removed. So for the first ball, we have 28 possible choices. For the second ball, 27. For the third ball, 26. That's the total. That's what goes in the denominator. The numerator is what usually is the more challenging part of the question. Okay, no problem. For the first ball, we have 28 choices. The second ball and the third ball, that is what we have to really discuss. That's where the challenge comes in. Okay, so what are we trying to do for the next ball? What is the probability that one of the last two balls removed matches the color of the first ball, and the other matches the pattern of the first ball. Okay, so let's concentrate first on the color. The next, if it matches the color, that means we have three possibilities, right? Based on my example, but it's going to be the same for any other color. There's only three. There's four of each color. We already chose one. There's three left. But then we also have to match the ball 3, and ball 3 has to match the same pattern, correct? And we are A1, so we have matched. So we want the pattern 1, and there's 6 possibilities for pattern 1. So there we go. Now the other way of doing it is that the ball 2 matched the pattern and ball 3 matched the color. So the reverse of this guy. So the second ball matched the same pattern and the third ball matched the same color. You see, this one was color pattern. This is pattern color. So I'm pretty sure that is a calculation. Good news is the 28s cancel. 3 times 6 is 18. So 18. Oops, sorry. Apologies here. This should be a plus. Sorry about that. I just kind of noticed that. So, sorry. Yeah. It's not, you're not multiplying all of them. Sorry about that. But I caught it. 18 plus 18, and then we got 27 over 26. And then when you reduce this to Low's terms, this will be 2 over 39, which is B. Arushi wrote an integer in each cell of a 3x4 grid so that the sum of the numbers in each row and in each column was the same. Some of the integers that Arushi wrote are shown in the grid while the others remain hidden, the value of C minus D. Okay, so we got to chase this, right? So let's say the total sum, the sum of the numbers in each row and in each column are the same. So let's say the sum is set S. All of these are S. Correct? So the total sum, if we were to look at the 3 rows, would be S plus S plus S. And the total sum in the 4 columns is S plus S plus S plus S. Now, since each of those represents the total sum of the entire grid, they have to be equal. So that basically means that 3S equals 4S. And the only way this is true is if S equals 0. So that means the sum is 0. Okay, so let's concentrate on this guy. That means 7 minus 1 plus this guy, x, let's say, is equal to 0. So that means x is equal to minus 6. Got it? And then you just kind of keep going like that. So what's the next one to do here? Let's do this row. 4 minus 6 plus c plus, let's say, y. Let's call this guy y. So that would be equal to 0. So that means c is equal, or sorry, y is equal to 2 minus c. 2 minus c. Okay. And then we will concentrate on this guy, that column. So that means 3 plus 2 minus c plus d is equal to 0. So that means 5 is equal to c minus d. And that's what they're asking for, c minus d. So 5 is the answer. And that would be C.